Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Men shrink less from offending one who inspires love than one who inspires fear. Of mankind we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. Men intrinsically do not trust new things that they have not experienced themselves. Men should be either treated generously or destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries, for heavy ones they cannot. Since it is difficult to join them together, it is safer to be feared than to be loved when one of the two must be lacking. Men are so simple and yield so readily to the desires of the moment that he who will trick will always find another who will suffer to be tricked. It is necessary for him who lays out a state and arranges laws for it to presuppose that all men are evil and that they are always going to act according to the wickedness of their spirits whenever they have free scope. A son can bear with equanimity the loss of his father, but the loss of his inheritance may drive him to despair. The fact is that a man who wants to act virtuously in every way necessarily comes to grief among so many who are not virtuous. There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. Men never do good unless necessity drives them to it. But when they are free to choose and can do just as they please, confusion and disorder become rampant. You ought never to suffer your designs to be crossed in order to avoid war, since war is not so to be avoided, but is only deferred to your disadvantage. Power is the pivot on which everything hinges. He who has the power is always right, the weaker is always wrong. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. There is nothing more important than appearing to be religious. There is nothing as likely to succeed as what the enemy believes you cannot attempt. Never was anything great achieved without danger. The promise given was a necessity of the past, the word broken is a necessity of the present. We cannot attribute to fortune or virtue that which is achieved without either. One change always leaves the way open for the establishment of others. A sign of intelligence is an awareness of one's own ignorance. Make mistakes of ambition and not mistakes of sloth. Develop the strength to do bold things, not to suffer. God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Wisdom consists of knowing how to distinguish the nature of trouble, and in choosing the lesser evil. Everyone who wants to know what will happen ought to examine what has happened. Everything in this world in any epoch has their replicas in antiquity. Nature creates few men brave, industry and training makes many. Occasionally words must serve to veil the facts. But let this happen in such a way that no one become aware of it, or, if it should be noticed, excuses must be at hand to be produced immediately. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. When you disarm the people, you commence to offend them and show that you distrust them either through cowardice or lack of confidence, and both of these opinions generate hatred. No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until it is ripe for execution. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. Princes and governments are far more dangerous than other elements within society. War should be the only study of a prince. He should consider peace only as a breathing time, which gives him leisure to contrive, and furnishes as ability to execute, military plans.